What's up, guys? Marcus from Rare Candy today, and today we're going to be going over a different kind of deck that I wouldn't have expected to see, um, not even just see perform well at a tournament. Just I wouldn't have expected this deck, really anywhere. But it is a quad Lapras deck that Carl Peters piloted to top four at his, Malmo Regional Championship. He went undefeated in Swiss apparently, so that's pretty crazy. And then obviously took it to top four. So congrats to him. But it's a different kind of deck. So I wanted to cover this one just because, like I've said before, love water types, and this is just like a different kind of like build. I mean, it's just quad Lapras. So let's dive right into it. So pretty much. We start off the deck just 4 Lapras GX, only Pokemon in the deck. It's got 190 HP, and it's got 3 attacks. Its first attack is collect, draw 3 cards. So that's good. That the card that the deck is based around, at least has draw support within itself. So your first couple of turns, you're definitely going to be just collecting, which isn't a bad thing. The next attack is Blizzard Burn, 3 water energy. It does 160 damage, and then Lapras GX can't attack on the next turn. This Pokemon can't attack on the next turn. So pretty much he plays 4, so he can swap between them if he needs to keep getting attacks going. He plays Ranger in the list as well, so that he can play that, remove the effect, and keep attacking. But we'll get into the rest of the trainers and everything in a minute here. And then his third attack is Ice Beam GX, 100 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So the only way to get out of paralysis is to play a Switch or an Escape Rope or Olympia. So otherwise, they're just kind of trapped active. They can't retreat. They can't just float stone, retreat, whatever. So it's pretty good if you have to two-shot something big, and you don't want to get swung back on in the next turn. You could get knocked out or something like that. Anything like that, Ice Beam GX is good to stick them active and then swing on them the next turn. Blizzard Burn, it's also good if you don't think you'll be able to pull off another Blizzard Burn the following turn and whatnot. So just an all-around great attacker. So we'll get into the cards now, or the trainer cards. He plays 4 Crushing Hammer. So flip a coin if heads, discard an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. So basically just really disruptive, not letting your opponent attack as often as they'd probably like to. If you're playing against something like Darkrai, it's lowering their damage output. Mega Mewtwo, lowering their damage output. So just really disruptive to be taking off energies. And that's kind of the base of this deck, is just take off all of their energies, while you're playing, to help disrupt them while you take knockouts with Lapras. It plays 2 Dive Ball. Doesn't really need any more than that, just because you're only running 4 Lapras. You're bound to draw into them as well. So Dive Ball does help you get the rest of your Lapras out onto the board. But he just needs 2 of those. Then he plays 3 Energy Switch. Move a basic energy from one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon. So that way, if you do need to switch from one Lapras to the other to be able to do another Blizzard Burn, you can move some energy back to the from the old active to the new active to be able to continue attacking and stuff. So Energy Switch, definitely a solid card in this list. 2 Enhanced Hammer, so again, just taking off of their their energies, denying them from being able to attack. So just really good card. But you only want to play 2 because there's clearly not as much special energy running around as there is basic energy, and it's also not a coin flip, so you're just guaranteed if there's a special energy, you're taking it off. Next is 2 Max Elixir. I was kind of iffy about only 2 Max Elixir, but it actually works out pretty well. You'll see in the battle video. It's not a bad count at all. Just because you're drawing into stuff and you're attaching every single turn. So I think 2 Max Elixir is good. I honestly don't even know what you could cut from this list to put in 4 Max Elixir or whatever. But so I think 2 Max Elixir is pretty good. Plays 3 Switch. Just because, again, you want to keep attacking every single turn, but Lapras can't attack the next turn, so you need a way to either move another Lapras active or do something to be able to attack twice in a row. Then 4 Versus Seeker, pretty standard. Most decks play 4 Versus Seeker, just get your supporters back. 4 Rough Seas, so obviously the stadium of choice here is just Rough Seas. Your only Pokemon is water, so helps out with the disruption. They will be doing less damage to you, and then you're healing that damage. So Rough Seas is definitely solid. I like the 4 count. I wouldn't drop 1 or anything, or drop 2 to put in 4 Max. I think 4 Rough Seas is good. 2 Judge. I was kind of iffy about this card. before I went into the game and had played a few few games with this deck. I was like, yeah, I don't know about Judge, but it's another disruption card. You can play it early whenever you're still just collecting in your opening like few turns. So you can put your opponent down to 4, and then you can collect yourself out of your 4. So it's definitely a solid card. I actually do like Judge a lot in this deck. Next, we run 2 Lysander. Pretty standard. Most decks run like 2 Lysander, sometimes 1, but 2 is pretty solid in this. Pull one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot. So, if they do retreat and you want to take a knockout on what you just got done attacking, you just pull it active, knock it out. He played 1N, so that's one thing I was thinking originally. I was like, oh, maybe he can drop, the 2 Judge for 1N, but the 1N was fine. I think that's a good, number since you do play the 2 other Shuffle Draw in your Judge. Then you also play 1 Olympia, just another way to switch your Lapras, make sure you can keep attacking and everything like that. It also heals 30 damage, so that's good. Comboed with Rough Seas, you're healing 60 that turn. And then you also play 1 Pokemon Center Lady. This is also good. You can heal 90 from a Lapras in a turn. So again, disrupting your opponent. They're hitting you, and then you're just healing the damage off. It gets really annoying, I'm sure, to be playing against this deck. Then 2 Ranger, definitely needed to, just because you are only using Lapras, so 2 is a good count for Ranger. 2 Kukui, the Alolan Jaywits, draw 2 cards. During this turn, your opponent's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, so definitely good to make Lapras swing for 180 rather than 160. If you have a belt on, then you're doing 190 to knock out, another Lapras, so stuff like that. It just helps you hit numbers that you need to hit in your games. And then we play 4 Sycamore. Seems good. There are times where I've had like a big hand of cards and I just don't want a Sycamore. And you really don't need, once you have like this gigantic hand of cards, I really didn't feel the need to even Sycamore. But you definitely needs to play 4 just for consistency. You want to be able to get it early so that you can, get through your deck, get everything set up, and keep playing your, crushing hammers and everything. Then 2 Flare Grunt, discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So this one's definitely good too. Again, just denying them from being able to attack or lowering their damage output, etc. 1 Team Skull Grunt, and I really like this card in this deck. It's really cool, like whenever you play it and then they've got the 2 energy in hand and stuff, and you're like, yeah, it's 2 energy gone. So definitely a good card. I don't think you should play more than 1, only because like you don't know for sure what their hand is going to look like and stuff, so it's not like a very consistent one. But it is, whenever it works, it's awesome. So I like the 1 count in there, especially because sometimes like I don't really need to play another supporter. Like it's like I don't need to judge them, I don't need to Center Lady anything, stuff like that. And you can just play a Team Skull Grunt and see if you can take anything out of their hand. Last of the trainers, 3 Fighting Fury Belt, definitely good. Definitely the tool card that I would choose to play if I was going to build this deck. Plus 40 HP to your basic Pokemon that it's attached to, and they do 10 more damage, so it helps Lapras swing for 170 to knock out things with 170 HP, like Lugia, Yveltal, etc. Just a lot of EXs with that number of HP, so definitely a good card. And then 11 Water Energy. I don't think we need to look at the Water Energy. But yeah, 11 Water Energy is good. Helps you hit your max elixirs and everything. And I mean, your attack costs 3 Water Energy, so you can't really run it doesn't help to run like DCE and stuff like that. I don't know if you want to play Splash Energy in this deck just because of Max Elixir. I mean, you do only run the 2 Max Elixirs, so you can maybe drop 1 for a Splash. But honestly, no, Splash doesn't make any sense because you can pick it back up and put it into your hand, but that's all you run is just Lapras, so you're probably fine. You probably don't need to run it, but yeah, guys, that's the list here. There's no real changes I could think that I would make to this list. Obviously it works out. The guy piloted it to top 4 at his regional, went undefeated in Swiss. He also didn't play like any Decidueye or stuff like that, so that probably helps too. Since you are weak to grass, that would probably be a tough matchup. But yeah, that's the list, and let us know if you guys make any changes, and we'll see how this thing plays out in a battle. All right, so we have a game against Caballito Loco, I guess. So we win the coin flip. So we're gonna go first, and let's see. We're probably gonna mulligan a good bit, seeing as we only play 4 Pokemon in this deck. Waiting while they choose an active. There we go. And I'm really glad that we mulligan, because this is not the best looking hand. Like, if one of the cards was a Lapras, I guess we would just collect for a while or something. So we're going to take another mulligan, and another mulligan, and another mulligan, and another mulligan. Hopefully we get a judge turn 1 from the amount of... and another mulligan. Yeah, hopefully we get a judge turn 1, and it looks like we don't, but we finally get a Lapras, so we can finally get the game started. So let's see. Looks like our opponent is definitely also playing water. And I suppose just waiting to see how many mulligans they want to draw. And our opening hand isn't bad. You know, we've got an attachment for turn, we can drop a Rough Seas, and then Sycamore, draw into some more stuff, and you just get set up. So, just waiting patiently for them to draw their mulligan cards. Probably, my opponent is probably not used to getting this, like, big amount, I guess, of mulligans that they can take, so I don't know if they're just contemplating, do I want to draw all of them, or what, but hopefully they decide soon. There we go, cool. So there's their gigantic hand, and they open with a Hoopa and a Manaphy. So we, unfortunately, Sycamore this Max Elixir before we can get it. Another Lapras on the board, but it's not a huge deal. So then we just put a Fury Belt down and pass. Our hand isn't too bad. We've got a Hammer for whenever they attach energy next turn. Ranger doesn't really do much for us, but we do have Versus Seeker for Sycamore if we want to keep drawing. So it looks like they're going to Nest Ball for a Lapras GX. So we're playing against Waterbox, I'm assuming. Since they do have this Hoopa, it's kind of a... I don't even know what that does. 20 to 2 Pokemon, I guess. So, I don't know why that's in there, but okay. So they'll attach to the active. Ultra Ball. After it looks like they played a Max Elixir and it failed. Sycamore, and I couldn't see what that other card was. I'm sorry. And they'll grab an Oranguru. So Oranguru to the bench. So they're getting a pretty good setup. They got a lot of mulligan cards, so can't really expect much else. An energy switch to the active, and probably just an N. So they'll N, and then they'll probably maybe play a couple more cards out and then collect for the turn. So we got another Lapras for them. And then our hand, we can't really do anything with Enhanced Hammer. Another Ranger, so now we just don't have Versus Seeker for draw sport. Oh, but we do get a Judge. So we can judge them back down, but they'll be able to collect out of it as well. So we get a Crushing Hammer, so assuming we'll definitely play that. Alright, and then we flip heads, and we will collect. And then next turn we will be able to start attacking here. We unfortunately don't have another Lapras, but we do have Ranger in hand, so we will be able to get 2 back-to-back Blizzard Burns over again, so that's good. Let's just see what our opponent decides to do. So an Ultra Ball, getting rid of an Oranguru, and a Power Ranger, a Pokemon Ranger, for another Lapras. And now they're down to 2 cards in hand, so they'll instruct up to 3, and then probably collect for another 3 after an energy attachment. Okay, so Versus Seeker, so they'll be able to play probably N. Yeah, there we go. So they'll end us hopefully into another Lapras and a Water. There we go, Water Energy, Lapras, there we go. Max Elixir, so maybe we can start getting the benched one set up. but we don't have Pokemon Ranger anymore, which is a little unfortunate. But it's okay. We'll be able to make it through, I'm sure. So they're going to play a Max Elixir. Their first one failed, so let's see if this one hits, and it does. Alright. And we'll see a collect from our opponent, drawing 3 cards. So we will attach for turn, bench a Lapras, probably play Max Elixir. And then here, I think we just go for the Flare Grunt. Pretty much just debating on if we should play it. I think I'm thinking about if I want to Ice Beam GX, and if I Ice Beam GX, I don't really want to waste a Flare Grunt here if they're gonna not be able to attack. So yeah, I guess we just go for an Ice Beam GX. Could have maybe played Kukui just to draw a couple more cards and see if we hit something else, but either way seems fine, especially since there's a rough season playing out. Any extra damage helps for sure when there's rough seas. So they're going to play an Escape Rope, so they do get out of the Ice Beam GX, unfortunately. So they're going to Kukui for 2, and probably collect for 2. So we see a Max Elixir. It fails. So yeah, I mean, collect for 3, sorry. So back into our turn, we really want to see a way to switch. We might not risk it. Maybe we go for the Flare Grunt, yeah, and then just collect for more. Which doesn't seem bad, because it's not like they can attack us next turn either. But we really, I guess I didn't want to play Judge just because I'm not going to get much off of Judge. And now we've got 2 switch, so I think we're fine for the next turn. So I think the Flare Grunt was okay. I believe that they just also healed with Rough Seas. But yeah, I think the Flare Grunt play was fine just to do that and collect. We did collect into switch, so it looks like we're good to go for the next turn. So they're powering up their other bench Lapras that doesn't have any damage on it. And I guess just thinking about what they want to do, if they have any other options, but they don't, so they just pass. So we'll get to attach this Fury Belt, and definitely be switching this turn. I guess just deciding which supporter to play. But I think Kukui is the play here. So we're going to switch into that one, and then we'll be able to take the one-hit knockout with Kukui. There we go. Then we'll get to draw 2 cards as well. Crushing Hammer. So we'll attach the energy, play the Crushing Hammer, heads, take an energy off. Just deciding which one we want to take the energy off of. But I think that's fine just to bring them both down to just 1 energy. So then we'll take 2 prize cards here. Because now they still need 2 attachments, or like an attachment and an energy switch, to be able to attack this turn. Which isn't, with that huge hand size that they've got, doesn't seem like it would be too hard to do. Just attach and then energy switch from the bench to the active to get a Blizzard Burn this turn, or maybe even an Ice Beam GX. So we're going to see a Super Rod from our opponent. They're going to shuffle in. There we go. Yeah, Lapras and 2 Water Energy seems pretty good. And I'm assuming, I haven't seen any other water attackers in this, so it might not even just be Water Box. It might just be like an aggro Lapras like type of deck where they just want to attack with Lapras a lot, and they've got Manaphy in there for the free retreat and Arangaroo to help them draw. So we get a switch and an energy switch, so we can attack again this turn. Since we didn't have the Pokemon Ranger for turn, we did have the energy switch, which is cool because then we Flare Grunt, discard 2 energy from their hand. They had 4, so. And then we will Blizzard Burn for 170, putting them at 190, I believe. And they'll heal with the Rough Seas. So we'll see them attach, and they'll probably Ice Beam GX, I'm going to assume. So we see an N from our opponent. And the reason I assume Ice Beam GX is just because, yeah, they don't have another Lapras ready to go, so they probably want to get us stuck active. But we did top deck Olympia, so we'll heal with Rough Seas, we'll play Olympia, bring the new Lapras active, we'll search for another Lapras just to thin our deck out more, and we do see a victory screen here. I was trying to get the best game I could. I played like so many games. I think I played like 10 games or something, trying to get a good game with this deck, and this was the best one I could get, unfortunately, guys. I mean, it wasn't a bad game. You get to see how it performs against, you know, another Lapras deck. But yeah, just so many people, like, whenever I keep discarding their energy, they just quit. So, yeah, definitely a really good deck. I like it a lot, especially if there's not much grass in your local meta and you want to play this. Like, just have a field day with hammers, and, you know, hitting heavy with Lapras is just a, you know, nice big hitter. But yeah, and pretty much every game I would play, like, you discard so much energy, and then your opponent is just like, okay, I can't play this game, so I quit, because I'm not allowed to attack. So that's pretty much how most of my games are going, so this was the best one I could come up with. But definitely a solid deck. I really love playing it. Yeah, I'm going to continue messing around with this thing on the Versus ladder. But let us know what you guys think about the deck. Let us know if you would make any changes to it. Obviously, Carl Peters did a pretty good job taking it to top 4 at his regional championship. So again, congrats to him. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to leave us a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and check out our merch at rarecandytcg.com. Pick up like a playmat dice bag or something. Mean a lot to us if you support the channel and whatnot. But yeah, that's it for this one, and we'll see you guys in the next one.